is Dr. Springlock. He should be here. Trap got stuck in the portal again. Dr. Springlock. Darn it. I'll go check the back room.
Storytelling, more than anything, is possibly the most important subject when it comes to writing. Media, such as books, movies, news, always have a goal, and that is to either inform or explain events from real life or the imagination of one's mind. I made a career, in a way, of explaining the stories that were given to us by the many creative minds from a certain platform. The platform used by said creative minds is called Source Filmmaker. Valve, the creator of Source Filmmaker, really made something special for a lot of people. Unfortunately, Valve abandoned Source Filmmaker, leaving us with a very glitchy and buggy mess. This problem led to an exodus of creators. But there was some people who didn't give up. I have talked previously on this channel on others who have already worked hard to push out something truly exceptional. In the previous video, I talked about Abby SFM's old memories, but another one approaches. Meet Detective Nickbone, a former SFM YouTuber who was known for making adultish SFM animations. He made an SFM series called Detective Nickbone, which he's named after, and at the time of this video is currently inactive. But there is one animation that he is very well known for: 5 Crimes at Freddy's. This animation was possibly the most terrifying and gruesome creation ever made in SFM history. And now I have the unfortunate pleasure of explaining it to you. Grab a snack and a drink, because here is 5 Crimes at Freddy's explained. The story starts with a phone call from a guy named Mr. Steve, who is presumably Nickbone's co-worker. Nickbone, being a prick, insults Mr. Steve in every way he can. Eventually, Nickbone hangs up on Mr. Steve and starts checking the cameras. Everything seems to be going well until the lights start flickering, irritating Nickbone. As Nickbone is complaining, trying to fix a poorly matched fuse box, Bonnie the Bunny starts lurking closer and closer until eventually he is at the door. Nickbone finally fixes the fuse box and accidentally, but unfortunately, pushes the chair into the door button, stopping Bonnie in his tracks, also startling Nickbone in the process. 1 hour later, Nickbone regains his composure and is listening to his radio until he hears something in the building. He then turns off his radio to verify the cacophony that just came from the dark corridors. Nickbone then hears a scream and immediately investigates. The noise was coming from the bathroom, and Nickbone continues his pursuit. He then finds a hobo summoning Shenron with the Dragon Balls. Nickbone immediately kicks him out for good. Nickbone heads back to the office with every right to complain, and then he checks the cameras. Nickbone then finds that Bonnie is not on stage. Nickbone starts to question everything and calls Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve responds, and Nickbone starts to accuse him of moving Bonnie. Mr. Steve is confused, but Nickbone starts freaking out with actual fear for his life, begging Mr. Steve to explain. Mr. Steve tells him to look at the cameras, and Nickbone finds Bonnie in the main room, making Nickbone freak out even more. Mr. Steve then tells him to check Foxy's code. To Nickbone's surprise, Foxy is staring back at him. He looks away to complain to Mr. Steve, then looks back to find Foxy absent from his cove. Foxy begins to run towards the door, and just in time before he could go for the kill, Nickbone closes the door on Foxy, and starts to shoot him with his gun. But behind him is a lurking Chica. Nickbone quickly closes the door, stopping Chica in her tracks. Unfortunately, the power runs out and Nickbone is greeted by Freddy. Nickbone decides to run to the main room and hide under the table until he is ambushed by Bonnie, leading to the struggle. Nickbone manages to escape and run to the parts and services, but he trips and falls out of consciousness. Later, he wakes and is greeted by Foxy once again, and he shoots. But it is not Foxy, it is Mr. Steve, who came to help him, but he is now injured on the ground. Unfortunately, the animatronics arrive to claim Mr. Steve as their prize. Nickbone sits there hiding, listening in horror as Mr. Steve is being murdered. Until Nickbone grows a pair and decides to confront the animatronics, but his confidence is in vain. Nickbone eventually starts to accept his fate, but 6 a.m. happens, ending this nightmare forever. But stories like these never end good. After Nickbone leaves, the bloody animatronics play a song while the corpse of Mr. Steve sits as a trophy. That is the end of 5 Crimes at Freddy's. This story was dark, possibly the darkest SFM animation in history. I trust that you enjoyed this video. Maybe? I don't know. I can't assume anything. Though I have a message to the 84.9% who have not subscribed, it will be my utmost honor to earn your subscription. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is DrSpringlock, signing off. Oh, hey Springtrap.
Oh, there you are.
What's going on?
Oh, glitch trap got stuck in the portal again.
Please tell me you ain't pulling my leg right now.
I wanted to use my axe, but glitch trap would have stopped complaining.
Okay, let's go pull him out.
Oh, okay, let's go.
By the way, you're on video. How about you say one last thing before I end it?
Oh yeah, thanks for watching.
Yep, thanks for watching, guys.